Hi, welcome back to Plan 9 Crunch. I'm Joe Gibson. This is Doug Gibson.
Hi.
Today we're going to talk about the 1967 film King Kong Escapes. So this video is going to come out around, I believe, the 21st. The 22nd is the release date of the movie. I believe that the Japanese release date was July 22nd, 1967. So something of an anniversary thing, but we like to watch it every once in a while. It's a pretty fun movie. Do you have any thoughts to start?
King Kong Escapes is the film that is kind of what's it a sequel to, Joe?
It's not really a sequel to
Anything, is it?
to anything, but it also fits within the Showa Godzilla continuity because Gorosaurus, the monster Kong fights, winds up later in the thing.
I think it's like I always think of it as the Linda Miller version, who was the model from Japan, who stars as what is she? Is she like a scientist or something? With
Lieutenant Susan Watson. So the characters are in the
You
UN
know more about
here.
the backstory than I do. I have to admit that. But the thing is that she is. They put it. She's kind of eye candy, isn't she, for the movie?
Though it's a G-rated movie and it's trying to be a little bit chaste, there are some angles that emphasize the shortness of her skirt as she's there. She's Kong's object of desire in the film as well.
Also, she has chemistry with the good guy. What's the
Lieutenant
Japanese?
Nomura, played by Akira Takarada.
Yeah, but what this film is maybe best known for is, what's her name?
Mihama.
Mihama, who is strikingly beautiful. She is one of the antagonists.
She gets like 4 or 5 costume changes. She's the Bond girl in the movie, but also
What
in a
Bond
villainous role.
film was she in?
I don't recall. She was an actual Bond girl though.
Yeah, because she does have a striking screen presence, beauty in this movie.
So as we just alluded to, there's sort of the background here is interesting because it's based on a TV show cartoon that was a cooperation between Toei, not Toho, but Toei, but their animation division, as well as Rankin Bass. And so Rankin Bass had a say in what happened in this movie. I've watched a few episodes of the King Kong show. It's not very good. I guess the characters are vaguely based on the family unit in that show. And Doctor Who, the antagonist of this movie, not that Doctor Who, but Doctor Who and Mechanic Kong come from the show.
He's one of the more vicious antagonists in these films. There's not an ounce of humanity in him. He's like a sharp dresser, though. Sort of looks like, who would you describe him as?
He reminds me of a lot of Dr. Pretorius from Bride of Frankenstein. I don't know if that's who you're fishing for, though.
No, I think that makes a good point. He's also woefully inept in this film. I mean, Mia Hamm's character is constantly scolding him. She wants to dump him.
Well, because she's the financier for this. He's trying to get Element X to then give to her nation, whatever nation she represents, some Asian nation. It's unclear what it is. Maybe China, maybe something else. But so she has a position of power over him, but also he's trying to push things along because he just wants to make his Mechanic Kong to do it and all that stuff. And she has more humanity than he does. It contrasts them when they do imprison our main characters. She tries to negotiate with them by pampering them with some food and wine, whereas he just wants to freeze them to death until they comply.
Yeah, and what I found interesting about the movie was Kong himself, is a legend at the beginning of the film. They haven't established that he's actually real, but of course he is.
They know about him, and Carl Nelson, played by Rhodes Reason, later on says that, he travels between all the islands as he wishes. But if he did that, they'd have more evidence of him. Their ship sort of breaks down by the island and whatever. There's a submarine, and so they're like, we can just dock and see if he's actually there. So they see him fight Gorosaurus, which is a dinosaur that was a kangaroo kick, pops up and destroy all monsters later on. But so yeah,
Kong strikes me as, I don't want to say this, it's not fair, but he's At times, he's almost like an eager type of creature. I don't know if he has the intellect I see in other Kongs. Do you agree with that?
Oh, he's one of the dumbest interpretations of the character. There's really not much meat on the bones for his character in the thing, which is weird for a King Kong movie. So why are we talking about this then? Well, it all goes back to the weirdness of this movie. Directed by Ishiro Honda, it bears none of his creative DNA. There's no deeper theme, not much. There is human drama, but it's all very one note. Not many twists and turns, no tragedy to it, except for Mihama, who's dying because she's the bad guy, kind of. But it's also a spy movie. So it's taking King Kong, the bare bones elements, where you had to have the trio of the denim type character in Rhodes Reason's Carl Nelson, the Anne type character in Susan Watson, and then the Jack type character who has the abrupt romantic connection with her in Nomura's character. But that's all we get of the King Kong stuff, really.
I think you met Susan Miller, right?
Not Linda Miller, is the actress's
Oh,
name,
Linda
playing
Miller.
Susan
I
Watson.
apologize. You're right. I apologize. You can cut that out, Jack, later. But you talked about something very interesting here. It is more of an action movie, isn't it? I mean, it's a monster film, but there's a lot of, something you might see in a Bond or a Matt Helm movie, right?
Mihama was a literal Bond girl, and now she's in this movie playing off of Rhodes Reason, who's doing his best weird little James Bond thing instead of a Carl Denham thing.
That's funny. I thought of Rhodes Reason as more like a Charlton Heston
That's fair.
knockoff. It's funny. There's supposed to be a kind of attraction between Rhodes Reason and what's her name again?
Mihama.
Mihama? But it doesn't go very far, does it really?
Well, she has like 4 or 5 costume changes, many of them specifically for him. She tries to seemingly seduce him, but it backfires and she just winds up risking her life to help him escape.
But why do we love this movie? Why do we love this film? Because many people do. I talk to people, they say it's one of their favorites. One friend of mine told me one of his biggest thrills was seeing it in a movie theater in the 60s.
It's really fun as part of it. Gorosaurus, I very much enjoy that action set piece on the island. He's on some posters in the movie because, why not market one of the best parts of the film? Mechanicong is also unique. Though he originated in that cartoon, he's done much better here in terms of showing off the arsenal that a giant robot can have in these movies and the abilities it can have.
Now, why does it fail the first time with the metal robot?
Well, just a second. It's also a baffling movie because of all these different influences and how it makes this weird, malformed product that isn't really a King Kong movie, isn't really a spy movie, isn't really a kaiju movie, but it is all those things at the same time. Mechanicong fails because throughout the movie, Mechanicong is going to fail. Technology doesn't fail. Technology always fails. Kong doesn't fail. If there's any kind of theme here, it's ultimately that you have to rely on the natural world to sort itself out, and technology is always going to fail. That's really not that well developed in the movie. Is there like a specific thing that the magnetic thing of the Element X causes him to fail, or
It does. For some reason, it can't support him, and then he has to get King Kong to help him out with that.
and the real King Kong,
Yeah.
and so they use mind control. They dazzle him with a bright light for his hypnotic susceptibility. Then they put in mind control things in the ears, but being close to the whatever, technology always fails in the movie. So they didn't lock King Kong up. He at one point thinks Mechanicong is another Kong, but that doesn't go much anywhere. And even though they've locked King Kong up, he still escapes because technology always fails in this movie.
Yeah, there's always the usual talk of the United Nations, and there's talk of, we never quite figure out what country Miyama's from, right?
Yeah.
And her investments, the country's investments, it looks to me like Doctor Who wants to use this Element X to take over the world, right, or something?
Probably eventually he wants to get there. For now, it's giving it to Mihama's nation so that they'll fund him. And if you want to headcanon it, like not at all intended by the filmmakers, but if you want to try and piece together things yourself, you can say that maybe whatever country was sponsoring the Red Bamboo terrorists from Ebera, Horror of the Deep, could be the country, because they were trying to do their their nuclear stuff and their occupation stuff. The reason why specifically that one could make sense is that originally Eberhor of the Deep was going to be this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Should we get into that now or later?
And you go ahead and talk, and I have something to say.
Okay. So yeah, Toei and Rankin Bass had their King Kong show, and then Toho was able to adapt that. Now this is not a clear adaptation of that. Neither was Eberhor of the Deep, which was originally going to be Operation Robinson Crusoe, King Kong, something Ebera, something South Seas or whatever. So King Kong was going to be Godzilla's role in Eberhor of the Deep. That's the movie where a guy is looking for his brother that went missing. He does some Beach Boy shenanigans, steals a ship that Akira Takarada playing a thief is on, and then they go to an island where Kumi Mizuno is playing Dio, and that's an islander on the island that Godzilla, but it would have been King Kong, is attracted to in the movie. Eventually Mothra winds up in there because it's Mothra islanders that are being kidnapped by the Red Bamboo to fuel their terrorist organization, whatever. And that would have had King Kong in it, but they decided that that's too far away from what we want. So Rankin Bass had some shenanigans and they pulled it from that movie. But this movie, they agreed to for whatever reason. So these movies are kind of connected, even though it was not Ishiro Honda directing that previous one. This feels less like an Ishiro Honda than Jun Fukuda, who did direct Eberhor of the Deep. Because Jun Fukuda liked the spy intrigue plots. Oh, but back to you.
Well, one of the differences of this movie is a lot of times when you see a kaiju movie, like say Invasion of the Astro Monsters or something, what you're seeing is two sides who've always been at odds, like invaders from outer space against people fighting for Japan or the United Nations. In this film, there's an intrigue as to where Rhodes Reason is very angry at Doctor Who and others because apparently Doctor Who was kind of on their side at one time, but became an enemy, and that brings the line I thought was funny. It made me laugh. Where was it Rhodes Reason who called him an international Judas?
I forget who it was that called him that, but yeah, that is the
Judas.
descriptor.
What a great line!
Yeah.
I mean, was he trying to? Are they inferring he's selling them out?
I think the implication is that he was briefly partnered with Rhodes Reason, Carl Nelson, in order to get his research to help him do his own projects and whatnot. He was using his connection to the UN and to Carl Nelson to fuel his own plans that were much darker plans than the UN has.
You know, what's interesting about this film, too, is that today, the people most likely to watch it are adults, all right? I mean, you can get your kids in on it, but adults are the ones that remember it and watch it. If King Kong Escapes was to play at a retro theater, the vast majority of the people going would be adults. However, this is back in the 60s, where this film probably was most likely marketed to the Saturday matinee crowd. In fact, I do know for a fact that one of the films it played with was The Ghost of Mr. Chicken on theaters bills. I just find that interesting that these films, 10 years after Gohara, were widely being marketed at kiddie matinees.
Yeah, that's in the States, but also
obviously different in Japan, right?
No, the same in Japan, actually,
Was
because from this point onward, they are making the Godzilla movies primarily for not primarily for, but they would release them in the Champion Matsuri festivals between 1969 and 1978. And that's where many of the 70s movies, when they had lower budgets and lower box offices, would make most of their success, was at the Champion film festivals.
That's interesting. What do you think of the special effects in this film?
Oh, they're very poor, which is unfortunate because it was a good team that was working on it. Let me see if I can find them. I have the Wikipedia up here. I clicked back on the Wikipedia page for some reason. But the production details are also in here. Okay. Eiji Tsuburaya was still a special effects director over here, but by this point, I wonder if we can say that Teruyoshi Nakano was stepping into that role, because he would become the primary special effects director for the 70s movies, and Nakano was good, but the budgets were getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as time went on. The King Kong suit here, I think at least the water suit was partially converted from the King Kong versus Godzilla suit. I could be wrong on that, but it's clearly a bad suit that they had for King Kong. I don't know what they were on, but Tsuburaya would presumably be busy with the Ultraman stuff by this point. Ultra 7, maybe. In any case, despite having a good team that also includes Sadamasa Arakawa, Takeo Kita, Fumio Nakadai, and Yazuki Inoue, it's atrocious, right?
Well, I mean, look, you have to suspend disbelief in these films. Personally, watching it, I'm entertained by it. Is it as good as the other many other movies? Perhaps not.
I'll give it this. The final battle on the Tokyo Tower, genuinely good destruction. Miniatures and tokusatsu. Tokusatsu meaning special effects. But also, that final battle aboard the Tokyo Tower is one of the main draws of the film, I would say, in retrospect. Because you know how at the end of King Kong, the original one, he's climbing the tower, and the stakes are, okay, he'll get shot down by the planes, he'll fall. In this movie, he's fighting Mechani-Kong, another Kong, and the final battle eventually devolves into they're both climbing the Tokyo Tower, and whichever one is going to fall first is going to die first, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's neat. I haven't seen any other King Kong sequels do that in terms of taking that Empire State Crawl and turning it into a fight.
You know, I don't like this term, but trope, I'll say it, okay?
No, trope's a good term.
These films have this idea where the bad woman in the movie gets a change of heart and becomes, makes a big sacrifice at the end to save everybody and be on the good side. And you have that with Mia Hamma in this film. By the way, the Bond film she was in was You Only Live Twice.
Only Live Twice, okay.
She was also in, she was called Madame Piranha. I forgot about that in this movie, right?
Either Madame Piranha or Madame X. It depends on the version you have of the film, I think.
And I didn't know that she was in King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, no, yeah, she is. She's Fumiko Sakurai.
You know what she's called in the Bond movie? Kissy Suzuki. Oh, boy.
The Bond movies are actually more racist than the Godzilla movies against Japanese people.
To me, it's not really racist.
It's probably not racist. I haven't seen any Bond movies.
It's just a sense of the times. I mean, there's a woman named Pussy Galore in the Bond movies. All right.
Yeah.
So that was just an time era thing. I mean, we probably have a far more politically correct Bond now. I don't even know who plays Bond now.
I think it's a hiatus right now, but we just had Daniel Craig.
Craig was good. Craig was in a few. I actually, unpopular choice, but I like Timothy Dalton. He only made 2 or 3.
No idea who that is.
Yeah, well.
Sean Connery, I like as an old man. I haven't seen him young in movies, but anyway, getting back to this.
Yeah.
So, Fumiko Sakurai in King Kong vs. Godzilla is in danger in a train sequence at one point, and I don't think it's what Minus One was drawing from when they had Noriko on the train, but I think it is a nice coincidence that in both movies that are sharing a soundtrack, because the song that they used to get King Kong drunk in that movie appears in Minus One for some reason.
Well, go on,
in both of those movies, you have a heroic male character rushing into a Godzilla rampage to save a woman from a train, or on a train.
What do you think of the ending of the movie?
Of King Kong Escapes or King Kong?
King Kong Escapes.
King Kong Escapes. So, okay, after the fight happens aboard the Tokyo Tower, Mihama shoots the controls, or breaks the controls, and then gets shot. The controls for Mechani-Kong gets shot by Doctor Who, and I think King Kong still lands a few hits, so he still wins ultimately, but that helps him to win against Mechani-Kong, who falls, cracks into a bunch of pieces. King Kong gets down, and then he chases the boat that has...
That's what I thought that was pretty cool. Him chasing the boat with Doctor Who. Everybody.
And then Doctor Who gets pinned, and the boat gets just destroyed.
Evil does not triumph.
Evil doesn't triumph. As you mentioned, Doctor Who is kind of inept. In it doesn't hurt the film necessarily, but there's this whole motif that he plays chess. He's supposed to be very smart, but at every point he's making the dumbest moves. He threatens to kill Linda Miller, the Susan Watson character, multiple times. but she's the only one he can't kill because she's the only one that Kong will listen to, and he doesn't ever acknowledge that in those scenes. It's an empty bluff, but he's winning at chess against Rhodes' reason, well, metaphorical chess, but he can't win in chess against a monkey. That's the lesson of the movie because King Kong beats him.
Yeah, it's funny.
The dumbest King Kong beats the chess master.
This is a horrible analogy, I'm sorry. But when Doctor Who was meeting his end, it reminded me of a torturer in the Cold War movie Rambo First Blood, Part 2, where he's running away because he's lost now and everything, and Rambo's suddenly up with one of these, weapons, and he runs far away, and Rambo blows him up. But I got the same vibes watching Doctor Who try to run away on the ship. But, like I said, it was a bad analogy. But,
well, Rambo's a guerrilla fighter, right? Kong's a gorilla. It fits.
Well, with a slight difference in the spelling, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, let's see, what else is there to say? We know the film as King Kong Escapes, but apparently the original Japanese title was King Kong's Counterattack. And that's just what they named the sequels usually. Godzilla Raids Again, Godzilla's Counterattack, Terror of Mechagodzilla, Mechagodzilla's Counterattack, so whatever. But there's some fun names in the international releases of the movie that I want to highlight here.
Can I make a... Oh, you go ahead first, okay?
Yeah. This is the most infamous title, we'll say. The film was released in West Germany as King Kong, Frankenstein's Son. That is Frankenstein in the movie?
No.
Nope. Belgium, The Revenge of King Kong. That's pretty good. King Kong, the Giant of the Forest. Not really in a forest for more than one scene, but I suppose he only escapes the one time, so that fits just as well. Wrath of the Monsters for Turkey. Italy was the Giant of the Forest, and Belgium was Revenge of King Kong. Finland, King Kong on the Island of Terror. The island doesn't have the terrorist on it, so that was a weird title. And then King Kong on Terror Island for Sweden.
Well, I like seeing some of these movies that have the American releases. Certainly the Japanese releases are probably superior, but it's fun to see some of the AIP or Brenco, was it called, or something back then? Not for this movie, but there were and Henry Saperstein films. It's fun to see those releases, and you see them less and less now. Sometimes because we've become so it's not a bad thing, but now you always see the original Japanese version and everything. And for this one, we didn't we?
I don't think anyone's seen the original Japanese version.
Yeah, that's
in the
not
States.
out there yet, right? By the way, we should mention that Linda Miller, who is an attractive screen presence, was very upset because she did not get to redub. Someone dubbed all her lines. And
Julie Bennett dubbed all the female voices, including that of Linda
really
Miller.
Goofy in the movie, to be honest. So I have some sympathy for her. Rhodes' Reason was able to redub to his satisfaction, but Linda Miller was in Japan, and the producers were not willing to pay her to come all over back to the United States and do the dubbing. That was an interesting factoid, I thought.
So, in regard to the King Kong series as a whole, where does this film place for you? Is it one of the better ones, one of the worst ones, one of the middle ones?
It's like an extra on a Blu-ray set.
It's an extra on a Blu-ray set, okay.
I know people who love it. I know people who just watch it. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not enamored of the film. I enjoyed it when I watched it. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but I watched it with you recently and enjoyed it.
I always enjoy it when I watch it. The more times I watch it, the more things I'm like, that doesn't really add up in terms of why that's happening or what it's trying to say thematically. Mm-hmm. But whenever I see a list of like a ranking that has this at the top, I know it's not I know they've watched the movies, because no one that hasn't watched King Kong Escapes would put it at number one. Most rankings you'll see online are just copy-pasted the same things. People don't actually watch the movies. They just want to churn out the article. And so it's always 05 at the top, and King Kong Escapes, and King Kong vs. Godzilla at the bottom. But when you actually watch the movies, you can have a variety of opinions on them.
Well, it has a relationship to the series in some regards. I mean, because it has other monsters, fighting. Like it has that, what do you call it, Gorosaurus or something?
Gorosaurus.
Yeah. It reminds me of a film a little bit that you haven't seen yet. I need to show you, called Mighty Peking Man, but that's a Hong Kong movie. But it's like an ape movie that isn't part of the.
Hong Kong?
I thought it was a Hong Kong movie.
No, I'm saying Kong.
Oh yeah, well yeah, good
Yeah.
point. But that's about all I have to say about the movie, except it's worth watching, and you can get a Blu-ray or a DVD set of it with what's the film? Well, actually, we got one with 3 different movies, right?
It was a triple feature that has the 2005 King Kong. I don't think the extended version, just the theatrical, and King Kong vs. Godzilla, and King Kong Escapes. The caveat there is that King Kong vs. Godzilla, as most publications are, is the American one, not the Japanese cut. The Japanese cut of King Kong vs. Godzilla is highly superior to the American cut.
Well, maybe I go watch it.
It's a universal disc.
I haven't seen.
It was in a $5 bargain bin movie set at Walmart.
Yeah, I think if you're going to see it on Blu-ray, it's only with King Kong vs. Godzilla, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you have final word, Joe.
Final word.
Yeah.
Mechanicong is a good word. I like that it's a play on mechanical. Mechagodzilla debuted in '74, so this is actually a few years before any other mechs in these main Toku franchises that made it to America. So Mechanicong.
Mechanicong. That's your final word.
That's my final word.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to say that's a wrap then. Okay. All right. Are we done?
We gotta say where they can find us.
Oh yes, you can find us at Plan 9 Crunch. It's PLAN digit 9 CRUNCH at YouTube. And we're growing slowly, but we're growing. So give us a subscribe. We'd appreciate it. And we're at TikTok, where you can like us. And we're at Plan 9 Crunch Podcast and Blog on Facebook. You can like us there or follow us. And we have a blog, which is doing fantastic right now. Plan9crunch.com, a regular blog. And is that all the things we have right now?
That seems like it's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Thank you.